So my 1 year social anxiety program, how does it work? Who is it for? What can you expect? My 1 year social anxiety program was born out of my own experiences with suffering from social anxiety in my early 20s, being depressed, having suicidal thinking, having panic attacks every day. I couldn't come out of my house. I was afraid to make eye contact. I was paranoid that people were judging me. I couldn't go to job interviews. I couldn't go on first dates. I found it hard sometimes to be around family, friends, even to go into a shop and talk to a shopkeeper and just have a short conversation and buy some food, groceries, going into Sainsbury's, Tesco's, McDonald's, public transport. I was absolutely terrified of social interactions. So getting to a point in my life, in my early 20s, where I got so depressed and I got sick and tired of this perpetual pattern every day. Every day the morning came, I was dreading the day. I was afraid of living, I was afraid of dying, and I was afraid of staying where I was. So I started praying. I humbled myself. I started praying to God and begging God to help me and take these anxieties away and these panic attacks and this horrible shame and all these insecurities and all these horrible dark thoughts about not being good enough, never being able to make money, never being able to get a girlfriend, just never being able to have a normal, happy life. And having these feelings go away and feeling, just feeling confident in myself. So getting to this low point of just being sick and tired of being sick and tired and just sick with depression. And I was just sick and tired of being broke or having very little money. Anytime I got a job, I couldn't keep jobs. I was always hard working, but I had a real problem with people telling me what to do. I was paranoid, thought people were laughing at me, judging me, making fun of me. I was always so judgmental towards myself. Nothing was ever good enough. Nothing that I did could ever felt good enough for me. I was so afraid of getting awkward in front of people. For me, that felt like social death. I didn't want people to see my nervousness, my anxieties, my awkwardness, and I didn't want to display those symptoms in front of people. The shame at the time would have just ate me up and spat me out. So going to such a low point where I didn't physically have the courage to take my own life, but I kept fantasizing about if I were to take my own life, I wouldn't have to deal with the pain, the anxiety, and just the loneliness and the sadness and depression and the anger towards myself. So after praying and looking for answers, I found a man called Les Brown, right? At the time, I had no interest in teachers. I didn't trust anybody pretty much, right? Family, mum and stuff like that and dad, but generally I didn't trust businessmen. I didn't think they were genuine. I thought they just wanted my money, etc. So after listening to Les Brown was able to get through to me at a time where no one could get through to me. I wasn't reachable because I had too much pride, too much ego, was too ashamed and didn't want to hear. I didn't want to take advice from other people because I felt like they were judging me, patronizing me and disrespecting me, even though that was not true, but that's how I felt at the time. But when Les Brown shared his story, because he was so honest, I trusted him. And I was very sensitive with people. I could really get a sense as to if someone was being genuine, if there was a hidden motive or a hidden agenda. That paranoia kind of gives you that skill. And growing up in a rough area, being bullied at school, growing up in an area of crime and all those sorts of things, you develop a heightened sense of kind of how to read people. Well, I definitely had anyway. That was one of the skills that I had, even though at the time I didn't think of it as a positive, but it was more like I'm so paranoid. So I trusted Les Brown for some reason, 100%, obviously now because he's a good person. When he told his story about the fact that he was called the dumb one at school growing up, the kids laughed at him. That was me. I was called the dumb one at school and the kids laughed at me, and that was a huge part as to why I felt so embarrassed about how I looked and how I spoke and how I sounded. And that's why there was always this sort of like hesitancy, this kind of stuttering personality, this nervousness, because always kind of walking on eggshells thinking, when am I going to slip up and start being nervous? They're going to look at me, judge me like everyone did at school. And it wasn't just the fact that that frightened me, it was post anxiety and getting awkward. What I mean by that is the depression that would come up, that would be triggered when I was on my own, the shame. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking and feeling about it, and I struggled to go to sleep. And all these feelings kind of derive from being bullied physically, emotionally, laughed at, heckled at, and exactly what Les Brown said, being made to feel dumb, stupid, disgusting, unattractive, not valuable, weird, strange, all of that was going on inside. But at the time, I dare not say it. I didn't want anyone to know these things about me. I was so afraid of my issues coming out, my demons, and people knowing these things, because I thought they're going to use it against me, because these things happened when I was younger by bullies. They'd laugh at me, make fun of me, and it would just be like I was humiliated growing up at certain times in my life when I got bullied at school around my local area. So Les Brown saying the things that he said made me feel better at the fact that I'm not the only one. It made me feel less ashamed. Then he went on to say, it was the way that he spoke, it actually made me cry. Now, I cried. Looking back now, the cry wasn't out of weakness. Actually, it was out of weakness. It was more strength. I needed to be broken down, basically. The walls were too, that's what was keeping me. You know, I was keeping myself a prisoner. So when he said, it's possible to live your dreams, it's not going to be easy, but you will fail your way to success, and you know, life's tough, it's hard. But when he explained his story with such honesty, it got through. You know, my prayers were answered at the time, and I honestly believed 100% when I listened to his story that it was possible for me to conquer this anxiety that was destroying my life, and I could achieve the 3 goals that meant everything to me at that time. In no chronological order: getting a girlfriend and falling in love, having a relationship, earning a decent living. I didn't want to be a millionaire, but I just wanted to make a good living and enjoy the job that I did. And thirdly, just feeling good in myself, those 3. When I heard his message, and you know Les Brown said there's hearing and there's hearing. You can hear with your head and your ego, but when you hear with your heart, it's a whole different ballgame. I heard his message with my heart, and the crying was a relief that I'm not hopeless anymore, that I don't want to kill myself, and I'm not going to be like this forever. I'm going to overcome this. All these voices from the past where people put me down and judged me and made me feel terrible about myself and enjoyed making me suffer, I'm going to prove them wrong, and I'm going to prove myself right. So all the things he said resonated. You've got to take action. You've got to work hard. You've got to believe in yourself when no one else believes in you. You can't be demotivated and down when you don't get the first relationship that you asked for. When the finances don't come in, you've got to be hungry. That's what he said. You've got to be hungry. I can't do his voice, right? Les is unique. And he made me laugh. He made me cry. He made me laugh. He inspired me. He educated me on things that I sort of always knew, but was afraid to act on, because I was so afraid of failure and being judged and people knowing that I had all these issues. So when he told his story, how he went from a guy who, you know, grew up on an abandoned building that it was adopted at birth, even though I wasn't adopted, but it didn't matter. All the things it resonated. Being an underdog, that he wasn't qualified, and he went from the bottom to the top of being one of the best motivational speakers in the world. You know, names like him and Anthony Robbins. For me personally, Les is the greatest, but everyone's got their own opinion. But he went from the bottom of the barrel to the top, being broke, being poor, being judged, being stereotyped. He went right to the top and was speaking in front of thousands of people. And I look, he didn't have to convince me he's successful. I knew it. I felt it in the subtext and the energy of his story. It resonated, it made me cry. I was like, wow, no one's, it's been a long time since someone's affected me in such a powerful way, you know, through a YouTube video. These were the days where YouTube was just new. It just launched. And I was broke at the time. I had just enough credit on my phone, my cheap phone, to access YouTube and to listen to this message that just hit me like a ton of bricks. So when I listened to that Les Brown talk, I made a commitment at that day, at that time, that I'm going to change. And I'm never going to live my life the way I've been living it up until now, which I was living as a coward. Les said that. I was living every single day as a coward, allowing the opinions of other people to dominate who I was as a person, how I lived. And I was in my own way. No one was stopping me. It just felt like everyone was against me. Most people were. And life was out to get me. And I wasn't allowed to be successful financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and all these things. So what I'd done was, over a sequence of, over a period of time, I went out and I faced all my fears. I faced the fear of public speaking. I faced the fear of asking a woman out and going on a date, going to job interviews, going to meet-up groups, leaving the house, traveling, starting my own business, making YouTube videos, and then I went on to teach others. It's funny because Les Brown said, you listening to this message now He said, you've got the ability to change so many people's lives, but right now you won't believe it. And I was listening, I'm thinking, oh my, this is so personal to me, even though because that's all I've ever wanted to do since I was younger. I didn't exactly know in what form, but I always wanted to help people. Because I remembered when I was getting bullied at school when I was younger, there were other kids that were weaker than me getting bullied, and I would stick up for them. And it would always feel like the right thing, and it would feel like a good, honest, wholesome thing to do. And I always took self-esteem from that. This felt great, and that kind of stayed with me. So I realised later on that although at the time, I wasn't quite in a position to be teaching others because I had to get myself confident, but I knew that I was going to get there, and that was a big motivation for me. I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing it for other people, and I will get to that point. And I'm going to, obviously now I don't feel that way. I don't have to prove anything to anyone, and I've forgiven people that bullied me because it was so long ago. But during that time I was thinking, they're not going to defeat me. They think they've got me. They think I'm down. Well, I'm comeback power, as Les Brown said. So it was all about overcoming the bullying in the past, and the trauma and the shame and the deep insecurities and the panic attacks and the low self-esteem. And when I started to take action, I started to believe in myself. The more I took action, the less social anxiety I had and the more confidence I gained. And everything Les Brown said, I got confirmation that it was true. Obviously, we're different people, but the principles were the same. And the main thing I took from Les Brown is, if you're hungry enough and you're driven and you're committed to be a better person, fear can't stop you, no one can. And if you're willing to keep getting back up, because Les Brown said, when you land on your back, when you land on your ass, when life knocks you down, make sure you can look up, because if you can look up, you can get up. And he gives these examples for his talks and his life about two men that were unemployed, that were struggling to get a job. But the first guy kept complaining and blaming and projecting and saying it's not fair and everyone's against him, and he gave up in the end, and he drank alcohol and he sat at home and he got overweight and he got resentful and angry. Where the second guy had a different outlook, and he followed the advice of Les Brown, and he just kept going, and he just kept picking up the phone and saying, have you got a job? No, sir. Knocking on doors? No, sir. Oh, maybe this time, maybe someone. And eventually that man got a job, and that really resonated with me, because a lot of this stuff I took from my mum and dad. They're very hard-working people. A lot of the values were already demonstrated by my mum and dad. But as you know, when you're young, sometimes, my dad said it, you don't always take advice from your parents because you're young, you think you know everything, you're pride. So sometimes you've got to hear it from someone else who you don't have a close relationship with. So Les Brown freed me up. He took the burden of shame away from me and gave me that drive, that motivation, that passion, that hunger, that commitment. That was always deep within me, but I was terrified. I was terrified of success, responsibility. I was more afraid of all of this stuff than failing. When I look back, I had nothing to lose anyway. I was already a failure. I felt like a failure. I felt like a disgrace. I felt ugly. I felt unattractive. I felt broke financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So I had nothing to lose. But looking back, those things weren't true. But I believe those things to be true, and that was a big part of this. So I had to change the way that I viewed myself by going out, taking action. And all of the public speaking, the personal development, the dating, the relationship, the meeting new people. And this is one of the things that I wanted to share today. All those demons that I was carrying, that most people are not nice, most of them were not true. Most people I met through my experiences were lovely, nice, positive people. And having relationships and talking with them, and even if it was just a couple of hours, it changed my perception of people. Because when you've been bullied and traumatized, it's so easy to take on the narrative that everyone's a bully, everyone's nasty, everyone's got an agenda, everyone's out to get you. And of course, that's not true. That's a dangerous narrative. But nonetheless, it's one that's very easy to take on when you've had these traumatic experiences. So hearing someone like Les Brown, who gives you a different narrative, a better narrative, and helps you to change your own narrative, it changes everything. So back to my one-year program. My one-year program is a complete transformation, with outlining all the things that I've done, working with it's only going to be a small amount of people. I'm coaching 2 people at the moment on this program. They're doing the one-year program, so I'm not selling this to everyone. Right? This is only for a select few. And if this resonates, I don't even have to sell it. You're going to contact me, because that's how usually these things work in my experience. So this program if you want to apply for a 1-year social anxiety program and excel and do something, obviously you're not going to copy me, but it's going to be similar in the fact of what you've got to do, and that's take action, face your fears, and come out. I'll help you to do that. For those of you that can't make the program, stick to the free YouTube videos. I'm going to continue to help you as I've always done. So, that's really who the program's for. I can go through all the details, and I'm happy to do that on a Zoom call or through an email, but I really wanted you to really hear from my heart what it is about and who the program's for. Because if you haven't got the passion, you're not going to do it. It's not going to be right. You won't make the financial investment, the mental and emotional investment. And for those people, I totally understand it, because I used to be like that, quite ignorant, who have a problem with investing money. That's entirely up to you, but what I can say to that question is I put out all the stuff for free anyway. It's whether, but have you got the courage to apply it? Most people haven't. And at some point, I used to think the way that you did, that, I'm not going to spend money. Someone's trying to rip me off. It's a scam. It's this and that. But later on, I realized that I was scamming myself, because it's like saying everything you've ever bought is a scam, which is obviously completely not true. Of course, there are scams out there, but you can't say everything's a scam. It's back to the narrative again. Just because a couple of people bullied you, you can't say everyone's like that. If you do that, you're going to create that reality for yourself. You're not going to make any money. So I've worked with paid mentors. They certainly didn't scam me. It was money well invested. Les Brown didn't scam me. Everything he gave me was for free, and I would have done his paid coaching at the time, but I didn't have the money. So this message is for both people who have the money to invest and for people who don't have the money. I'm going to help you for free anyway through these videos, because I love what I do. Les Brown done exactly the same for me. He gave me a choice of paid mentorship, which I would have loved to do, but I didn't have the money. And it's like, if you haven't got the money, you haven't got the money at the time. But then he gave me a story for free, and that's what I'm doing today. That's how I'm paying back all the help that I've got. And I've never met Les Brown before, but all I can do is appreciate what he's done for me and continue to promote him. And I know that does massive things for people. The gratitude, financially, someone will work with them, and even if they don't financially gain, he's already got a lot of money. It's the gratitude. It's someone spreading the word that someone's helped them and they appreciate them. All those years ago, I'm 39 now. Les helped me when I was about 25. So that's the power of coaching and motivation and being driven. You're always going to get doubters, but as you become successful, they can't stop you. They actually help you. So if you hear my story and you hear Les Brown's story, at the start, doubters and critics and trolls and people that make accusations and try and shame you and bully you and lie about you, whatever, they break you down. They stop me from being successful, and they were happy to do it. But later on, they enabled me to be successful. I'm only successful because of hate, criticism, obviously love as well, but we're not aside from how to overcome that. And that's all part of preparing your mind. So on the program, I do a life coaching approach. I call it a confidence coaching under that title, where I help you by looking at your life, helping you to get down the gym regularly and train, helping you to be more social with friends, family. If you don't have a dating or a relationship life, helping you to improve that and get the right relationship. Starting your own business or improving your existing career and your finances. All those areas that social anxiety holds you back in. Because when I wanted to be successful, I remember praying, saying, if I can achieve these goals, I'm going to help my clients and help other people. And I've been doing that for many years now. I'm just explaining the program. And I also want to explain the concept of the program is, like I said, only about 5% or 2% will take this program. I want to help millions of people with this video right now. What I'm trying to explain to you is you don't have to spend any money. Dedicate 1 year of your life to facing your social anxiety, doing what I done, what Les Brown encouraged me to do, what he did, what I done, what my committed clients do, what other people on this channel, or some of you, loads of you have worked with me throughout the years, right? I really appreciate the business, amazing. Or sent me emails saying my videos, free videos have changed your life. Sit down, write your goals down, whatever they are. Let me know in the box below, whatever your goals are. Everyone's goals are different, right? It could be to get the right relationship. It could just be to be confident, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be in this area of getting over this fear of people and rising above the past, etc. Dedicate 1 year. I promise you it'll be the best investment you've ever made, because most people dedicate the next 20 years of their life being miserable, resentful, unhappy, and not even realizing that they're scamming themselves. That's what's so sad. they're not aware of it. I was doing it for years. Most people scam themselves, let alone calling other people scam. They scam themselves out of being happy. They don't take action. They're not accountable. They don't try. They let the opinions of other people keep them in a prison, in an open prison. So invest in yourself. Invest 1 year of taking action, socializing, being a better person, facing your fears in all areas of life, whether it's traveling, socializing, public speaking, starting a business, just keeping a 9-to-5 job, pursuing your dreams, writing, whatever you want to do in your life. Spend 1 year to doing that, and then the rest of your life you're going to be happy. Whereas if you don't put that year in, next year goes by. What do people say? Oh, next new year we're going to make some goals. They don't do nothing. It's the worst addiction pretty much, and it's the addiction of not taking action, no action, or being the guy that Les Brown described, blaming, being a victim, complaining, not giving up when you fail. Last thing I'm going to leave you with words of Les Brown, and this is true for everyone, doesn't matter who you are. You're going to fail in life, but if you don't give up, you'll fail your way to success. And failure is always about dealing with other people's criticism, being turned down, someone not wanting to date you, the business not working out, the YouTube channel not working out, or struggling with the diet, or not being able to beat an addiction at a certain time. If you don't give up, all those failures, all that pain, all that doubt is going to work for you rather than against you. And that's what I've done in my life. I failed my way to success financially, in relationships, in everything, every area that I wanted to achieve. And it was all in my own head. And all the opinions of other people was just ignorance. And that's the nature of sometimes people. But get around good people who encourage you, who are positive, who want to help you. So all the advice is there, but if you use the excuse someone else is a scam, then you're just blaming, because it's down to you. It's down to you to not scam yourself out of living your dreams. And like I said, you don't have to spend money to be successful for the most part, but you're going to have to spend some energy and some courage. You can't just sit at home and sit on your ass and expect the whole world to pat you on the back and give you a successful life. It's not going to happen anytime soon, all right? So I'll speak to you guys soon. For those of you that want to invest in the program, or you want to inquire about it, because I don't work with anyone or everyone, I'd have to do an interview with you for about half an hour, make sure you're right for the program. Those of you that got loads of value, I know how much you guys appreciate me, my honesty and my story, and I appreciate you guys as well. And the critics, I always appreciate you. I mean, without you, I wouldn't have been successful. You helped me in every area. Appreciate it. It makes me not afraid of criticism. And I only wish you guys the best. I really do, all right? Fearless.